make it a better place. It'll take creation.
Hi everybody, this is Tina. Welcome to my video today, you guys. Last week I was on a little mini vacation, so I wasn't posting videos. It's kind of a last minute decision, so I'm so excited to be back here with you guys sharing new projects with you. And then also the annual catalog goes live this week, so how exciting is that? If you want to see a little sneak peek of some things to come and where I was last week, you can head over to my website. I'll put a card right up here to my post yesterday. On Sundays I do a little post called My Favorite Things. I usually do it twice a month and I usually don't do a video. So I just kind of talk about my favorite moments from the week, and I shared where I was last week and what I was doing. So you can check that out. Today I'm going to make a really simple card with you guys, and I'm going to be using my white gel pen. Now unfortunately Stampin' Up! Doesn't carry this white gel pen anymore, but this is a very common white gel pen. You can get it at Amazon, you can get it lots of other places, and probably you guys have this in your craft room. So I'm going to be doing some simple coloring with it, and we're going to make a really fun card, but it's really simple. But it looks like you spent a whole bunch of time on it, which are my favorite kinds of cards to have because they are really, they have that wow factor, but you didn't spend a lot of time on them. So I'm starting out with a Night of Navy card base that was cut at 5.5. And then I just folded it in half to give me an A2 size card. So the measurement is going to be 5.5 by 4.25. It's going to be the start of your card. We're going to be using this stamp set. This is one I've used. I used it a couple weeks ago, and it is in the new catalog. It is called Wood Words, and actually I've gotten a lot more use out of it than I thought I would. So the next layer we're going to have is a crumb cake layer, and it is going to be 4 by 5.25. So it's going to fit right on here. We don't want to attach that yet. And then the few other pieces I have is I have a piece of vellum that is 1.5 inches by 4.25. I think we're gonna, let's cut a different piece because I just realized I want to do something different. So just grab your trimmer. I want a 1.5 inch piece. And then I want it to be a little bit longer, so we can do 5.25. The length really doesn't matter because of what we're doing with it. Okay, so we have that piece. And then I have a Night of Navy circle. I've cut this out of my circle, stitched circle dies. And then I have a piece of white cardstock for inside. But we're not going to fuss with any of this stuff yet. We're going to do the stamping and the white gel pen technique. So you can see I just have a piece of cardboard. And you can use grid paper. This is just what I happen to have on my desk. So then I'm going to use my Night of Navy, and I'm going to use this image right here. So you want to make sure that for this technique that your ink pad is really inked up. I had to stop and re-ink this particular ink pad because it was pretty dry. So what we're going to do is, you don't have to be really precise. We're just going to come in on each corner. And I kind of like to change my stamp set around a little bit when I'm doing this. And for this, see, I didn't get very much on this corner, so I am probably going to I'm going to go in more on the card. You'll see when I lift this up. Oh, see, this isn't working, so we're just going to flip it over because I totally messed up that one corner. So that happens sometimes. Even I mess it up from time to time, so let's try again. You know what? This wasn't crumb cake. This wasn't even crumb cake, you guys. Look at this. I don't film for a week and I'm a mess. I'm a hot mess. This must have been Sahara sand. It wasn't even crumb cake. Let's try again. I'm glad that didn't work out because I would have got all the way done with the card and I would have wondered what was wrong. Yeah, pretty good. I mean, it's not like perfect, but we're going to get the idea. Okay, so we have this. So now let's zoom in and let me show you what I'm going to do with this white gel pen. So I have this white gel pen, and you can see there's some flowers that do not have the coloring on them, the Night of Navy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add color to that. And what I do is I kind of bounce my white pen and that allows the ink to flow a little bit more. And it doesn't have to be perfect. When that white ink touches that blue ink that you just stamped, you may get a little bit of bleeding of the blue. So I try to be a little bit careful. But again, I'm not really worried about if it's perfect or not. So with this white gel pen, when we lay the ink down, it sort of has this effect where it will look like it's a little bit raised. And you can see I have a little bit of bleeding in there. So I'm going to do this to each one of the open flowers. So I know this seems like, well, that's going to take forever, but really when you do, what I found is when I stamped this, I had about 4 open flowers per stamped image, which is not that much. There's 2 larger ones, and then there is like 2 smaller ones. So you just go through and you add the ink. So now you can see that I did all the coloring. It only took me about 10 minutes. So now I want you to see the next step we're going to do with the white gel pen. So now we're just going to take and add some little white dots. I like to do mine 3, so 2 and then 1 above it. And we're just going to do that in a couple different places. So I don't want to do it too much. But like in these corners here where the stamp didn't go, and then like in between these 2, oops, I'm off camera, sorry guys, in between these 2, and then in these corners, and then I just continue to rotate. Okay, and then the next thing we're gonna do are there's these little tiny blue flowers, and we're gonna put a white dot right in the middle of each of those flowers. You just wanna be careful when you're putting your hand over the image that you don't smear the white ink, because the white ink will stay wet for a little bit. And when you put the white ink over these blue flowers, it may pick up a little bit of that blue. That's okay. So that looks pretty good. So let's set this aside for 1 second, just so we can make sure that it's going to dry okay. And then let's bring our other pieces over. Let's do the next part of the stamping. So I'm going to want to clean off my floral stamp from that blue ink. And one of the things that I like to do is if I have a really dark ink and I'm planning on then stamping on white, I just go ahead and make sure that I did get that stamp all clean. So let's bring our white piece over. And I'm using crumb cake ink now. And I'm stamping on this white piece. And I'm just doing 2 corners. And this is going to work as a insert in our card, so you have a nice place to write. Let's go ahead and do our stamping on this circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some items over here to emboss. I have this guy right here. This is my snappy tray. I have my powder buddy. We'll start by putting the powder down on the circle. And then I grabbed a sentiment from Rose Wonder, the stamps at Rose Wonder, and it says, "You're in my thoughts and prayers," and I thought it fit on this circle really nice. And then I am out of sympathy cards, and so I thought it would be a good time to add to that collection. So we did the Versamark, which is just a really sticky ink. And then we're going to take white embossing powder. and put that over the stamped image. And I spilled some, that's okay. So now we can work on putting this card together. So let's bring over all of our pieces. The first thing we're going to do is take this vellum, and what I like to do is use my grid mat to decide where I want this. So we'll bring our card base back over, and this piece can go directly onto our card right there in the middle. And then I added a little bit of foam to those circles when I had my foam out. And then there is our really simple card. So I really like the way this turned out. I did 2 of them. You can see my first one, I had a little bit more open area. So the other thing you can do is when you go back after your card is all complete, and then if you feel like it needs a couple more, a little bit more white, you can do that too. You can always add more, you can't really take it away. So I say start out a little cautious and then add if it needs it. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. You can see photos of this over on my website along with all of the products I used. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I have all kinds of stuff planned for this week. The annual catalog goes live on Thursday. I have a paper share coming up this week and some Project Life stuff. So I'm so happy to be back filming and sharing with you guys. I hope you had a wonderful week last week, and I look forward to seeing you later this week. Have a great day, guys.